songs from 1961, the year of the synagogue's founding. Well, I remember that year too. It was auspicious for me as well because that's the year I graduated from UNC. It was in fact a significant year. A significant year across North Carolina and the South as the civil rights movement gained momentum, challenging widely held social and political and religious attitudes and beliefs. It was an auspicious time, as Dick has hinted in his remarks, an auspicious time for the formation of this congregation. A congregation rooted in both the ancient prophetic tradition that called for justice to roll down like waters, and rooted in the turbulent present of the 1960s, the early 60s, as this temple and its members stood up for racial and social justice in this community. It was 12 years later, 1973, when Lisa and our young family came back to Chapel Hill. We soon came to know the congregation through many of its members, many friends, and it was not too many years after that the new young rabbi showed up, John Friedman. And his family came on the scene, and we got to know them early on. We've known John and Nan almost from the beginning. We've greatly admired their leadership, both at Judea Reform and in the wider community. Lisa remembers with gratitude the support of John and Nan for the work she did, their encouragement of efforts to reduce violence in the community, to keep weapons out of the wrong hands, through the North Carolinians Against Gun Violence organization, which Lisa directed for many years. Meanwhile, I'd gotten elected to Congress and became involved in efforts to strengthen and support the Middle East peace process during the promising decade of the 1990s. John Friedman and I talked about these matters frequently and still do. I greatly valued and respected and still do his love for Israel, his concern for its future, and his insight as to the elements of a just and lasting peace between Israel and its neighbors. I also admire his skill and persistence and openness in fostering discussions of Middle East policy. He does this in the Jewish community, locally and nationally, does it in interfaith circles, and in the wider community. Rabbi Friedman's a wise man. And part of that wisdom lies in an ability to listen, to empathize with others, to think creatively about how we might begin to work our way through seemingly intractable difficulties. And that, believe me, is what this situation requires. The rabbi is also an accomplished theologian. I'm pleased to see that your centennial program is going to include a lecture by Susanna Heschel, a distinguished scholar who also is the daughter of Abraham Joshua Heschel, a theologian who influenced John Friedman. I happen to know a great deal. Now, having said that, it still might seem unlikely to you that theology would be an area in which the rabbi was likely to counsel his congressman. But he would be wrong. The occasion was 1998. I'd been asked to give the Brown Memorial Lecture at Judea Reform. I talked with John about some thoughts I had. I'd developed some thoughts on faith and politics in another context and had liberally fortified that discussion with quotes from Reinhold Niebuhr, theologian Reinhold Niebuhr. John wagered that I could match every Niebuhr quote with an equivalent one from Rabbi Heschel. Well, the two theologians, of course, were close friends. They influenced each other greatly. John gave me a couple of books to get me started, and I'm happy to report that I proved him absolutely correct. My desire here tonight, and I hope I've been able to do this in this brief period, my desire here tonight is to convey to you just how much and why Lisa and I were so eager to be here, to convey our affection and respect both for this congregation and for a spiritual leader. In your celebrations over the coming year,